Over the next few months, I'm on a mission to find Britain's best landscape locations for photographers. Now, what makes a good location is kind of subjective, but I'm going to get out there, see what I can find, and I hope you'll come along with me.
This time I head to the Lake District, which with 15 million visitors a year is Britain's most visited national park and probably the most popular with photographers. At 912 square miles, it's also Britain's biggest national park, with a varied and dramatic landscape that includes England's tallest peak and deepest lake. The Lake District became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2017 for its cultural and natural significance, and its landscapes have inspired countless writers, including Beatrix Potter and William Wordsworth. As usual, I'm up against the clock, with just 36 hours to explore some of the Lake District's best spots for landscape photography. Despite being officially the wettest national park in England, the weather is actually looking quite good, with evening light casting long shadows across the landscape.
Okay, on this shoot I've brought with me 3 Sigma lenses. That's going to keep my pack nice and light for when I'm hiking around. At the wide end, I've gone for the 20mm f2 I series. Really sharp and really portable. I love that lens for wide angle stuff. At the tight end, I've gone for the 100-400. For a telephoto zoom, this is about as light as they get. It's really sharp. It's really portable. I love that for landscapes. In the middle, I've gone for the 28-70. Again, it's much lighter than the 24-70. And I think I can get away without that 24-28 focal range, so I've gone for that. The problem is that I've just realised that I bought with me the L-mount version of the 28-70. These two are E-mount, so they'll go on my Sony camera. That's L-mount, so it won't. What a plonker. Now you're probably thinking, how could a true professional like myself have made that error? And I don't know the answer to that either, really. It's an absolute mystery, but we are where we are. Fortunately, our filmmaker Chris also uses Sony, and he has with him a 28-45. I've wrestled it from him, so that will replace the 28-70. F1.8, super sharp, so that's a great lens. And I'm also going to steal his 50mm f1.2. That's right, Chris, isn't it?
What am I going to use?
Oh, you're a good filmmaker, you'll figure something out. Right, let's go.
My first location is Hall Tarn, which is in the south of the national park, just west of the mighty Coniston Water. It's very close to a small car park, maybe only 150 metres, so accessing this location is really easy.
Okay, so we're right next to the lake. We've got the Old Man of Coniston in the background. We've got these lovely silver birches in the mid-ground. In the foreground, we've got these grasses just at the side of the lake, and there's actually a few growing out of the lake as well, or the tarn, and they're just catching the sun as it kind of comes over the mountains at the back, or the hills at the back there. We've probably only got 5 minutes of sun or something like that, and then it's gone. So I'm working with the 20mm f2, so this is an I series lens from the Contemporary line, and I've got a Sigma polarizing filter on the front. And but actually with the polarizer, I've actually got it cranked so that I'm getting the reflection, because there's a really nice, the lake looks very blue. If I try and take the reflection off, it just kind of goes brown, and there's lots of ripples coming towards us, so there's quite a nice bit of foreground kind of interest on the lake there, so that's good. Oh, here comes the sun again. Right, I'm just going to move down this way very slightly, because I want to have a go at getting this moss in at the front here if I can. This is actually quite a lot deeper than it looks here. That is why you're better off with wellies than walking boots, because I always find myself ending up standing in water for the best angle. So yeah, and I think here it probably is the best angle, just slightly in the water, especially if you're shooting quite wide.
Well, the last of the sun was quite fleeting, but for a few seconds before it disappeared, it broke through the clouds and cast a golden light across the tarn. This is a superb location all year round and very easy to shoot, but I think it's at its best in late summer, when water lilies cover the surface, especially if you can catch them in flower. it was time to get an early night because tomorrow I needed to be up before first light to catch sunrise from Loughrigg Fell, one of my favourite Lake District vistas. Just west of Ambleside, it should take me about an hour to reach the top of the fell from the car park. It's a bit of a climb, but the view from the top is well worth it.
Oh man, that gets blood flowing, I tell you. That is a bit of a steep walk up, but we are up on the ridge now, and conditions are great. There is zero wind, absolutely nothing. I mean, it is totally quiet up here. There's a load of weather coming in over there, so a load of rain, which could be good, especially when that sun comes up. If that's kind of, you know, that will create a bit of drama and atmosphere, which is great. The tarn that we need to photograph is down there. So I think if we head along a little bit and then we'll find a good position on the bank and get set up. And I think we kind of need to hurry up because we've only got about maybe 15 minutes till sunrise, sorry. So yeah, let's do it. Loughrigg Fell is what is described as a Wainwright. And a Wainwright is a hill or a bit of high ground that was classified by a guy called Wainwright in the 50s. And in the Lake District, there are about 214 of them, I think it is, just over 200. And the thing that they've got in common is that they're all, apart from one, over 1,000 feet high. If you want a good view and a good photo, and you don't want a kind of a lakeside shot, then going up a Wainwright is probably a good option. The highest Wainwright is Scafell Pike, which is 3,200 feet or something like that, so quite big. This one is 1,099 feet. So this one is one of the smallest Wainwrights. It's only just big enough to qualify. If you want like an easy one, this is as good as they get, I would say. Look at all that weather coming in. That is a lot of rain. But that could look really good. If we get the light on that, this could be a really nice, there's a lot of potential. Really nice morning. Okay, this is it, show's about to start. The sun has just come up over a little bank of cloud on the horizon, so we're about 5 minutes after sunrise, after a sort of official sunrise. The light is coming right down this valley, illuminating the hills at the back. It looks great, the sky's nice, plenty of colour. What we really need is just a bit of light on this tarn now, a bit of foreground. It's actually kind of a letterbox shape, I think, the scene here. So what I'm doing is I've got a 50mm on, 50mm 1.2, and I've got it in portrait orientation, and the tripod's set up so it's completely straight, and I'm gonna just shoot a little pano, maybe get, I don't know, 5 or 6 shots, and then stitch them, and I think that will make a very nice high-res panorama. And what we're really now doing is just waiting for that light to come into this area. It's nearly there. It's on the treetops down next to the tarn, but it's just not actually on the tarn itself. So I think we just wait another 5 minutes or something, and we're probably in for a good shot here.
As the sun came up, it flooded golden light right down the valley. Perfect conditions for landscape photography.
The conditions that I'd hoped for this morning actually did kind of come good, and we've got a really nice rainbow over here. The light's beautiful, we've got very good colours, I would say. The rainbow is just getting better and better. It's absolutely stunning, that is. I've just done a pano with some of this foreground in, some of this rock, but I'm gonna do a couple without, because I can't quite decide whether I like it or not. So look at that rainbow now, absolutely stunning. My goodness me. And I actually just wonder whether popping a 20mm on might be an idea here.
Get that 20 on.
Is it even better on the 20? My goodness me. Wow. We are extremely fortunate that sun is coming through, and there's a little bit of rain in the air, so it's giving us that kind of slightly wispy, kind of hazy kind of look. It's a little bit of rain falling on the lens, so he's got to keep that clean. And then I reckon that is an absolute beaut of a shot.
This first image, taken on the 20mm f2, works really well. That low sun creates dramatic lighting across the landscape, and I love the deep reds of those winter ferns.
This second image is a stitch taken on the 50mm f1.2.
And that's given me a really high resolution result. What a great viewpoint this is. I also found a couple of interesting little details on the fell that I captured using the 28 to 45.
I did not think that I'd be sitting under a rainbow this morning. And just like that, exactly half an hour after sunrise, it's kind of gone, the light's gone. Yeah, what a location. In terms of focal length, if you come up here, I would say you're probably looking at, I'd say if you want a bit of foreground in, so like a rock or some of these grasses or something, you're probably looking at maybe like 20 to 24mm. So I've got the 20mm prime, and that was quite wide for this location, but fine. But the 50mm upright as a pano is quite nice, I would say here. So if you've got a 50mm, you can still shoot it. Yeah, great location, I would say. Definitely worth a trip. And if you want a good view of the Lake District, some really nice photos without like taking a full day walk, I'd say this has to be top of the list.
Okay, so I was just about to head off the hill, and then suddenly the weather took a bit of a turn, and there's a load of kind of, I think it's probably sleet or snow is just coming over that hill. It might be rain actually. And I think that looks fantastic, so I'm going to get a little 100 to 400 pano of that. So I'm going to flick to autofocus, focus on the background, go into manual. I'm at 100 millimeter, and then I'm going to handheld this. I've got image stabilization turned on. Setting 1 is very good, so you can shoot like handheld quite easily with this lens. And I'm just going to do a little pano. So starting from there, and I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll probably process that up to be a bit kind of bluer and a bit moodier than the earlier shots, because that's kind of how it looks, that's how it feels. I really like these images because that weather sweeping across the landscape adds lots of drama. It shows that in the space of an hour you can get 2 totally different images of the same scene, and that's a great argument for revisiting locations over and over again. But stopping to take those extra shots has put me behind schedule, so it was time to dash over to Blea Tarn, a very picturesque location near Great Langdale. A favourite with photographers, it offers a dramatic backdrop that includes Side Pike and Loughrigg Fell, and very easy access from a National Trust car park. Okay, so we just arrived at Blea Tarn. Great in the autumn and winter because all of the ferns on the hillsides all go this kind of bright red-brown colour, so if you get light on it, beautiful. It's quite a still day, hardly any wind. There's a few ripples on the water, but I think we can deal with that. We've got lovely light in the background. The problem with this location is that there's hills, at least at this time of year, there's hills where the sun sets. So you can't rock up at sunset and expect to get light. The light is already off the lake, so really you've got to get here, I would say, to be safe, like maybe 3 hours before sunset in the winter. What was quite cool is there was a guy just walked past us with a Sigma lens, and he said, "You guys from Sigma? I recognise you from YouTube." So that was pretty cool. Doesn't happen very often. Look at that light over there, absolutely stunning. Perfect. That hill in the background looks very much like something out of the Dolomites or something. It's really nice.
some rocks up there. That looks a little bit less still, the water. I think at this end it's possibly a little bit calmer. Ooh. And yeah, watch out for the mud. Okay, so tripod set up. So I think what I'm going to do here is use the 20mm I series. Very sharp, very small. I love it. Look at that. Take out your bag and you're ready to go. It's so convenient as a lens, this. I've got my polarizer on it, ready to go. It's tricky because if I set it up so that I can see through the water to the bottom, the rocks, which is my sort of foreground interest, kind of disappear. I'm just going to take one here. This isn't not necessarily where I'm going to end up set up, but I just want to take one just to see what it looks like.
Blea Tarn gets its name from the Old Norse for blue, and you can certainly see why when you're at the side of the water. This is the classic shot at this location, a wide-angle image that uses the stones along the shoreline as foreground.
Ah, yeah, you see that sun, it's already going. We're actually a little bit late, I would say, to this location, unfortunately.
I headed to the southwest corner of the Tarn, but the light here was so low that I just couldn't get the shot that I had in mind. But I did make friends with one of the locals.
Okay, so Blea Tarn. Great location for lots of reasons, not least because you can park so close to the point that you shoot. There's a car park literally at the gate of the path, and then it's 100 yards or so down to the lakeside. There's loads of kind of interesting foreground, stones, grasses. You've got a really nice pine for the midground if you want it. The background's stunning. It's got everything, this location. The one thing it hasn't got is that it's not so easy to shoot in low light because the sun always dips behind the hills wherever, any time of year. There's hills all around it, so it's in a kind of a bit of a cup. So you never get that low sun on the lake. So I would say if you come here, don't turn up at sunset, turn up earlier in the day. This is one to kind of really plan ahead on and make sure you're here on time. So yeah, great location and definitely one for your list if you come into the lakes.
The following morning, I was up early to visit my last location, Tarn Hows, which is due southeast from Blea Tarn towards Windermere. Tarn Hows is another lowland location that's very easy to access, but despite again having lovely still and clear conditions, would the position of the sun give me the light I needed to get the shot?
Okay, so we've just turned up at Tarn Hows. We're in a National Trust car park. This is kind of the only place to park, so easy parking. It's a really still morning. There is not a breath of wind. So I've just got to the end of the Tarn. I want to be further along, but from here I can see that the lake is absolutely like glass, totally still, which is great because it means we'll get reflections. Okay, so Tarn Hows, how do we shoot it? Well, I think there's quite a lot to shoot here. I think you could spend a few hours here and not get bored. There's lots of little islands with trees on, there's reflections to get, there's some really nice viewpoints. I think the best viewpoint and the one that's probably most commonly shot is the one I'm sitting on right now. So it's this stone that's on the top of a little hill. You can get to it right off the path. It's really easy to find, and it overlooks a little, it's not a peninsula, but it looks like a peninsula. It's a little kind of jut of rock that goes out into the lake with some trees on it, and pine trees, so they're nice and green even at this time of year. So this is a great viewpoint, and then in the mid-ground you've got some hills, and then in the background some even bigger hills. You can actually see a Helvellyn in the background, which is one of the biggest in the lakes. This is at this time of year, which is late November, so if you're into late autumn and winter, it's definitely not a sunrise location. So I'm here at sunrise because it's all I've got. I'm going home, so I've only got a sunrise to play with, but the sun comes up behind the picture I'm taking, and there's a bit of a hill there, so I think you'd probably have to wait 2 to 3 hours after sunrise. At sunset though, the sun sets over there, and as you can see, there's no hills behind me at all, so you can almost see the horizon. So you could shoot up to within, I don't know, probably like 20 minutes of sunset, and the light would still be on all of this, the entire scene, even the foreground, which is great. So I think if you come, and it's this time of year, come at sunset, not sunrise. We're not here in the perfect light, but I really wanted to show you this place because it is a really, really good location, this one. Right, so time to set up. Yeah, look at that, bit of light coming on now, which is great, and a bit of light on the hills at the back on Hall Tarn in there. That was very pretty, nice. Now you might have noticed that the lens that you're viewing me through has changed. You might have spotted that. We're now on a Sigma 50mm f1.2. 5 minutes ago we were on a 28-45, and the reason for that is that I've stolen the 28-45 off my camera guy. Thanks for that, Chris.
No worries.
Appreciate it. And I've just set up, and I'm shooting at, yeah, around about 30mm, something like that, 29-30mm. I think that's about right here. And good luck to anyone who's shooting on anything longer, like a 50mm. You've got no chance. Isn't that right, Chris? Right, so while I'm waiting for that light to come down, and it is coming down slowly, there's quite a nice little kind of vignette in the background. So I've got the 100-400 on, I'm shooting at about 150mm, and I'm using the shadow line as the bottom of my frame so that everything in my shot is lit. And there's quite a nice little frame with the few trees in, a bit of mid-ground, which is a little hill with the lights hitting it nicely in the background. Yeah, I like that, it's quite nice.
I love this vantage point, which offers that superb view north towards the mighty Helvellyn. The light isn't quite right on this occasion, but I'll definitely be coming back to have another go. Before I leave, I head down to try a few shots by the shore.
So I've got down by the lakeside, still pretty flat. There's a little bit of wind, just kicking up the surface very slightly, but not much. I'm getting really low to the water because I want my reflection to be as close to the ice. The higher I get, the more water gap I get between the foreground and the reflection of the trees. I think this foreground's quite nice. The light's catching it, which is something we've been a bit short on this morning, light catching stuff, so I'm going to make the most of it. I'm absolutely loving this 28-45. It is so good for landscapes. My personal style for landscapes used to be wider than that. It used to be kind of 20, 24, maybe even wider than that, maybe even 16. But I don't know. I think spending a bit of time with Joe and Colin, Joe Cornish and Colin Pryor doing the Behind the Lens series, I just find that when I go to wider than 28 now, for most shots, I find that the background just seems way too far away and the foreground seems too important in the frame.
I was almost out of time, but I couldn't help feeling that I had a bit of unfinished business on the strip, so I made one last stop on the journey home.
So I'm just driving past Blea Tarn on my way home, and I've pulled over into the car park because I just want one more shot at this before I used a 20mm right in the water at the water's edge with the stones as the foreground. And that's fine, it's a perfectly fine shot, that perfectly fine angle, and that's the angle that most people shoot this location from. The problem with it is that when you shoot very wide angle, you make a lot of your foreground because that takes up so much of the frame, and the background is very, very small. It's right off into the distance. And I just wondered whether this location is actually better, getting back a little bit away from the lake, zooming in, and kind of compressing the perspective a bit, making the background seem more dramatic, and just having the lake as a kind of a mid-ground object. And I actually think it works better. The light isn't perfect here because it's not the end of the day, it's sort of lunchtime. But I actually kind of like this shot better, so I'm really glad that I stopped. So I'm going to get one last image. Perfect. Right,
I've got a child to pick up from school. Let's go. Thanks for coming along with me for my 36 hours here in the Lake District, where I visited Hall Tarn, Loughrigg Fell, Blea Tarn and Tarn Hows. I hope it's inspired you to pay a visit to this amazing national park to capture some of your own landscape images. See you next time.